All right. What's going on, everyone? How are you guys doing? Welcome to another Coffee Q&A. I'm Jay here on the onocoffee channel, where we answer and talk about coffee and answer any questions you might have about coffee to try to help give you better understanding about coffee, how to make it, and anything related to it. So, how you all doing today? We're back again. It's Friday, the end of the week, October 6th, and yeah, there it is. There it is. If you've noticed the title and the thumbnail, we're talking today about dark roasted coffee. And so one of my friends, he had a bunch of this coffee, and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna toss it out. Would you like it?" And I was like, "You know what? Why not? Yeah, of course. Give it to me. Let's try it on the show and share it with all of you, and we'll talk about the coffees." And so this is a coffee that's called the Signature Select House Blend Dark Roast. This is, from my understanding, this is actually the house brand for, or the generic brand for Safeway grocery stores here. And I actually have two bags. These are 32-ounce bags, so they're pretty sizable, almost a full kilo, not just short of a full kilo. 100%. Let's go here. 100% Arabica coffee, dark roast, whole bean. The nice thing is it is whole bean, so smooth, rich, sweet. And then there's something called the non-GMO product, and it's a non-GMO project verified. It's an organization. I don't know really what that means. And it says here, our roast masters have truly outdone themselves with this creation. A unique blend of 100% Arabica beans from Latin America creates a smooth and satisfying experience. This bold coffee is perfectly balanced with a vibrant aroma that enriches any occasion. Good morning, Mom. How are you, man? And then it says here, best before February 1st, 2024. So we're still in that window of freshness for this coffee. So Signature Select, it says they're commit. So let's have a look here what else they're saying. On the side here, Signature Select commits to delivering high quality coffees to you. We begin by selecting only 100% Arabica beans sourced from the world's premier growing regions. As our coffee makes its way from seed to your cup, we make certain it is handled with the utmost care, expertly roasted in small batches. Our artisan approach ensures that every bag of Signature Select premium coffee imparts the perfect flavor and aroma. We guarantee excellent taste for you to enjoy. Go ahead and brew a delicious cup today. So it says here, say ingredients, 100% Arabica beans. And really, let's talk about labeling, right? When you talk about coffee, this is what you want to see. You want to see just 100% Arabica beans. You don't want to have any kind of additives. It's kind of like when you're buying like shrimp, frozen shrimp at the store. You just want to see 100% shrimp on the labeling. Like if you see shrimp and water or shrimp and any other ingredient, then you know you're not getting the full product. I wonder though if other brands do that. Let me see if I have a can or something here, something else that might be different. Like, let me grab this coffee here. Our premium American brand, Folgare. Oh, yeah, 100% pure coffee. So Folgare says 100% pure coffee. It doesn't say a particular coffee in particular. It just says 100% pure. So, okay, that's good. At least it's 100% coffee. We don't know what it is. Mad Mofo, man, good to see you. How are you, Inting? How's things up in the city? We got our New York crew here. Good to have you guys. All right, so let's talk about this. This is the Safeway brand, like I said. Let's get into it and see how it tastes. Why is there this piece of tape? There's a piece of tape on it. I don't know what that's from. That's not from the factory. Okay, so what we're going to do is, as you can see, it's really inflated. So there is a valve here. So let's squeeze a little bit. It does have that like toasty roastiness aroma to it. A little bit suspicious. Get some scissors. Let's see what magic this blend has to offer us. Okay. Let me get a tray. We're going to pour this into a tray so we can have a good look at it. We're going to see if there's anything to be seen with the coffee. So as you can see, it is a pretty dark roast. It's not like that heavy-duty French Italian where it's like super black. But it's a nice, really dark cocoa, not even cocoa, more like a dark, bitter chocolate color. My receding hairline. So it does have that roastiness. Let's see if we can see anything about the beans themselves that'll give us any kind of indication as far as potential quality of the coffee that's inside here. Zoom in as much as I can. Do we see any kind of defects? It's always a little bit hard to figure out defects in the roasted coffee. Here's a broken, whoops. Here's a broken right here. Yeah, we got a bunch of brokens. As you can see here, some brokens. Now, like we've talked in the past, coffee will be traded on different scales. Like this is not labeled as specialty coffee, so it's probably traded a little bit differently than how I would normally buy. But let's say once you grind this up, like most coffee sold ground, like you'll never notice it. Okay, how about this one? This one, here's an interesting one. Okay, this one, look at the pattern that it's broken, right? This is actually I can barely see it because my eyesight is going poor. That there. This is actually, it looks to me to be, yeah, you can kind of see how there's like these kind of holes here on that one. So this is what we would call CBB damage, coffee berry borer or La Broca damaged coffee. And, so there's an indication. That's a pretty significant, eat of the beans by these little berry borers. So we're going to find that there's going to be some defects in the coffee, probably just based on this little sample here. It's probably more defects than would be allowed for specialty coffee designation. So it's going to be a little bit less than specialty, closer to the commercial level. Be full on commercial. Another thing to keep in mind is that the brand is a Safeway brand. So Safeway is not actually roasting it; they're contracting it out because it says here on the bag that how do they word it? Distributed by Better Living Brands. So if it's distributed by, that means that they're just having somebody white label coffee for them. And so, that's neither here nor there. It's not like that's not like that means that it's terrible or better. It just means that they're not the ones truly handling the coffee, or maybe even truly selecting the coffee. I'm sure that there's a buyer that's in their company that is approving that purchase, but may not necessarily be involved with the actual development of the blend or tasting of the coffees during selection. All right, so let's do a little bit of brewing. First of all, we got to measure out our coffee. How's everyone doing today? Any plans for the weekend? I'm planning on going to, what happened there? I'm planning on, let me turn that back down. I'm planning on heading to a video arcade thing this weekend. All right, let's see here. We're going to take 24 grams. There we are. 24 grams of coffee. Let me grind this up. We're going to do a little bit of a medium grind. All right, there we are. You can see here's our medium grind. I'm going to take that. Now we're going to brew this into V60. We'll do a V60 today because you know what? That's kind of our default here. Because everybody uses it. We're going to fold it up, make it conical, right? Our Melita number 4 filter. Just like that. And then put that in there. Perfect. Let's bring our hot water, make sure heat it up a little bit more. Lately I've been using, of course, this Kalita Pelican type of kettle. But today I decided I'm going to use this Hario. I used this last night during the Coffee and Cigars live stream. So I thought, well, let me use it again. I haven't used these in a while. These are really nice. I really like these, right? Like, we used the Hario Bonos for many, many years. This is the I still don't know the name. I didn't know the name. I couldn't remember the name last night. I can't remember the name now. But so a few years back, my brother was going to Japan. And I said, hey, man, can you pick these up for me at Tokyo Hand? So he brought a few of them back for me. Because I liked the Hario Bono. I liked the way you're able to control it. And this one just had improved ergonomics over that one. And here's the thing. What I like, so like a lot of people are really into the Fellow kettles. I used those once and I absolutely hated it. I mean, just almost like an infuriation kind of hate for it. Because, I'm sitting there, I'm working at I'm doing consulting for this coffee shop. And we're doing a cupping with the staff to, for education. And they had some of these Fellow kettles, and I'm like trying to pour it, and it just won't pour. Like so those are built with what they call a jiggler, right? And the jigglers are flow restrictors that are essentially built typically here in the spout. So while this spout has this size or this size, right? There's an orifice. There's a jiggler, a plug that has a tinier orifice that only allows a small amount of liquid to flow through. So no matter how hard I'm pulling on it, it's just this little trickle. And I was like, oh my gosh, man, this is just infuriating, because when we're doing coffee cupping, we want to pour an amount of water into that cup relatively quickly to get some of that turbulence, to make sure that all of the coffee's mixed. This thing is like, it was maddening. I was like so pissed off. Well, I was so irritated. If I had known, I was going to chuck it across the room. But I was like, and I get it. People want that. I guess that's a sense of luxury. It makes it easier so that you can be lazy. You can do whatever you do. You can hold it like this or hold it like this. The water flow is the same. Which I guess if you're new to the game, that helps. But I don't know, I think that the craft is learning how to control your devices so that, if you want to have a slow trickle, you can. But if you need to go faster, you can do that as well. And I like having that flexibility rather than that limitation. It's kind of like one of those things that if you have a governor on your vehicle, you can only go 55 miles an hour. Well, sometimes you need to hit 80, right? You know what I'm saying? Anyway. Enough renting. Let's get some water going on here. Okay, so now we're going to reset our timer. Get our timer set up and started. And we're going to start the brew. Oh, that was a little bit heavy pour. Lately, I've been going pretty slowly on my pouring. I need to go a little bit faster, I think. All right, there we go. 69 grams. We definitely have the flow flowing through the bottom. And now we're just going to brew it up. 22 seconds. As you can see, we're not getting much bloom at all. Well, kind of mostly no bloom. Now, yesterday when we were brewing with the W60, I mentioned that Pete doesn't like to go around the edge, right? And he says, he doesn't want it to overflow. And basically, if you run on the edge of the W60 mesh filter, basically it could just flow out the side and not get any extraction. Now, in the actual W60 or in the V60 here, where even if you pour it on the side, you're not going to lose like this. As much as there's ribbing, this filter is pressed up against the wall of the brewer. So you're not really losing any extraction potential by going up against the edge of the walls. So we're 204, 1 minute, 30 seconds. I think we're a little bit faster than normal, which is good. We are trying to brew the coffee in 3 minutes, 30 seconds to 4 minutes for 350 grams of water. $2.89, 2 minutes. Maybe we're a little bit fast now. That's all right. This is a dark roasted coffee. Who knows what that tastes like? Maybe we want to get it by going a little bit faster. Maybe we'll get a little more sweetness. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? $3.26, $2.25. We are a little bit faster than we are normally. $3.41. We're almost there. There we are. $3.53. And 2 minutes, 55 seconds, we're kind of almost done. So a 3-minute brew, let's say we're 3 minutes. That's going to be our total brew there. Let me just rinse this out. You can smell the roughness. Like there's, if you know, when you have some of these like dark roasted or commercial coffees or commercial coffees, you can smell it. You know, it kind of has that smell of like, let's say I'm go to the IHOP or something, or maybe the Denny's, and it's got that kind of burnish, the deep roasted, putrid maybe kind of smell. It's got that rough character, that rough nose to it. I can smell that, and I'm just standing above it. Yeah, and then the aroma's a bit abrasive on the nose. All right, let's have a look at it. Get our elixir out. You know, from here, so if we look at it here from the overhead cam, we can see that it is it is a little bit darker. Normally we have a lot more translucence with the liquid when we're looking at it, especially for the lighter roasted coffee. So we can definitely see that this has a darker roasted profile to it. Let's have some smelling. Yeah, definitely that little bit of abrasive, a little bit of roughness on the nose, a little bit of burn, like dark, not burn. I say burnt, but it's not. Burnt has a real like charred particular flavor. This is definitely a deeply roasted coffee. So you can see, looks kind of like Coca-Cola on the screen. Oh, yeah, that's dark, bitter, rough, bitter. Wow, bitter. Like they say bold, but they really mean bitter. Ooh, baby. Like this is definitely a coffee that is designed for milk and sugar. Like it's a little bit dirty, like that CBB damage, dirtiness. I mean, this is diner level coffee. Like this is definitely, you go to diners, you go to the diners around here, you got coffee like this coming at you. Oh, that's rough. Oh my gosh. And pungent. And like, you know what it is? It's rubbery. That's what it is. There's a rubbery aspect to it. So before I was saying that this is, like, probably not special, definitely not special, but this is definitely commercial grade territory. Like this is rubber, tar, no diesel. I mean, diesel's not unusual. Dirty, dark roasted, bitter, not so joyful. This is the kind of coffee probably Asmodeus loves. the king of Hades. This is probably what he's drinking. He's probably drinking, this is the best coffee in the world. This is the best coffee in hell. Oh my gosh. Wow. It's just pungent. And man, but the rubber. Oh my gosh, the rubber. It's like rubber. Like, oh my gosh. So this is actually quite a forceful coffee. I will gift this to some of my friends because they love to drink coffee, and I think this will be great for them. Oh my God. Okay, so when I decided that we were going to do this today, I also decided that, you know what? I was also prepared. I'm thinking, okay, it could be pretty harsh. And it has not disappointed in that respect. Like I was worried, it's like, oh, it's going to be harsh. It might be harsh. And yeah, it's delivered. It's delivering on that harshness. So with that in mind, I had the idea of like, okay, let me run out to my local bakery and grab some donuts, because what we need for something that's really this kind of pungent and rubber and bitter and dark roasted and just kind of generally offensive to humanity, we need something to balance that. And I'm not going to use cream and sugar. I'm going to use donuts, right? Donuts are the way to go. Mom says, sounds like my kind of coffee. I like, but there's a way to do dark roast and do it really pleasantly. This is dark roast that is quite unenjoyable. Like I personally find it to be rather rough and, oh man, like now I feel a little bit of acidity in the stomach, right? Ew. Anyway, so let us look here. These are donuts from a local bakery here called Simon's. And look at these things, right? Look at that. This is classic American donuts. Like when I think of donuts, yeasted raised donuts, this is the type of donut that I think about. It's yeasted, it's raised, it's big, it's thick. Let's look at this thing. Oh my gosh. We're not going to use this paper because the thing about eating donuts is you must get a little bit dirty, right? Mom says, just like my cigars. Excellent, excellent. So here we are. So Simon's is a place that's been around for generations. It's been around. And well, not generation, but at least 2 generations. And Mr. Simon passed away recently, and I think they sold the bakery to another place. But this is like old school Baltimore. Like I grew up in a part of Baltimore that was very like working class and blue collar and a little bit rough, right? And so that's where I spent a part of my childhood. We moved away to another area of town when I got to elementary school. But for my early years, I remember just being in the neighborhood. And we spent a lot of time down there over the years, But this is the kind of baked goods that I grew up with, like just real simple. Now we would say rustic, old school. And it's not like you go to a lot of bakeries now, they're super elevated and they got all this fancy stuff going on. And there's a beautiful place for that. Like, don't get me wrong, like one of my favorite bakeries around here also, Bethany's, like she does these cinnamon rolls that I utterly love, but it's kind of bougie. It's a bougie. There's no way to frame that other than bougie. Like she uses laminated dough, the kind of dough you'd use in croissants to make the cinnamon rolls. And it's epic. Like it's massively epic. Like I don't know why people aren't just like busting down her door, because it's some incredible stuff. But sometimes you want to go back to the old school classics, right? Just go back to your roots, go back to like Americana, right? This is like American. When I think America, I think donut. This is America. This is America, right? This is what would make America great again. Not that other rubbish. This is it. So it's always nice and fluffy and chewy and just great texture and sweet. Like it's a sweet. This is not diet level stuff. This is like your diet is going to hell kind of like level. All right, so let's try it now. What I like about these is I figured if this would be a great juxtaposition or a great balancing of the bitters and the roughness to the sweet and the chocolate. So let's find out if I'm right. Let's have another taste. Oh, mama. Oh, mama. All right, all right. So, as you can see, nice and yeasty. This one actually turns out a little more cakey than normal. Like usually it's a lot more doughy. Let me just lower the ISO so you can see a little bit better. So, but you can see the crumb is very cake-like today, or actually more, cake bready. Normally it has a bigger cellular structure, but still the flavor nice and sweet, chocolate. But it's better to mix it with the coffee. This is why you see cups and coffee together. And Mom says, "Oh, I thought you were going to put it in the." Oh gosh, I should do that. I should do that like Portillo's in Chicago, where they blend the milkshake with a whole slice of chocolate cake. Maybe blend those together. I did try that at Portillo's when I was there in January. Conceptually, it is a cool idea. In reality, it is like, what is it? Diabetic nightmare. Like you could feel it. You're just like, oh my God, like it's so chocolatey and so rich. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's so sweet and like so much sugar. I'm like, I'm starting to feel like this like palpitation from the sugars. Wilson, good to see you, man. How you doing? We are having coffee and a donut. We're using this Safeway dark roast coffee, which is relatively bitter and quite difficult. And we have an old school donut. Wilson, I've been meaning to ask you, on your YouTube name, you're listed as Wilson Maloles. And did I pronounce that correctly? And what is the origin of that name? I've been curious. I've been trying to figure out, is it like some kind of Southeast Asian, like maybe Filipino? Is it African? Or my first response was like, Maloles means I thought maybe like Hawaiian or Pacific Islander, so I'm just curious. If you feel like sharing, let me know. They're definitely bitter, the coffee. But when you're mixing with this, it does make it much more pleasing, more enjoyable, more harmonious. So much like adding cream and sugar, like I think I'd rather have this coffee and then this than this coffee and cream and sugar. Right? Filipino from Batangas. Very nice. So your family's not happening to be involved in the production of Barako, right? Or maybe. I remember when before I ever got into coffee, I was in Manila, probably in the mid-90s. And because I'm a big fan of San Serval. And for those of you who are not Filipino, San Serval is, in my mind, the greatest dessert ever developed by human beings. And what it is, you take meringue, you make a meringue, you make sweet meringue. You spread it out onto a baking sheet. You bake it off till it's crisp. And then you take that baked meringue, and you layer it with sugared butter and chopped cashew nuts. To me, it is the finest dessert. Like I will eat that anytime, anywhere, any day. But it has to be a certain texture, like a certain texture and consistency. Like my mom made it a certain way, so the meringue layers were chewy. Like if you go to Conti's Bakery in the Philippines, they have their version of San Serval, and they have this meringue that's baked like this, like big thick sheets, and it's all like hard and crunchy. I don't like that at all. Like that's totally like not my thing. But the Batangas thing, I remember I when I was there years ago. I went to this coffee shop called Figaro. Since that time, I've gotten to know the people that were involved with Figaro. But Figaro's big deal was to be follow the Filipino thing. Filipiniana, they're trying to, create better awareness. So they were using all Barako coffee. And if you're not familiar with Barako coffee is this type of Liberica. Well, it is Liberica, which is a different variety than Arabica and Robusto, right? So, and the Liberica they would do in Batangas is all mostly natural process. So, naturally dried and then harvested. So you get a little bit of berry notes to it, a little bit of fruity notes to it. And so when I was there in the 90s, I drank some of that and I really liked it. I always had a very positive, reaction to Barako. I liked that fruitiness from the natural. And when later, as I got into the industry, people would talk about Liberica and they're like, oh, Liberica's crap. And I was like, you know what, Liberica has, and I always believed even early on that if you cultivate it well, it can be a great coffee. And now people in the Philippines, especially in Batangas, with the Liberica, with the Barako, they're doing better cultivation and they're improving their techniques. I remember we were tasting coffees about 6-7 years ago with this one producer, this girl who had a farm. She was kind of like, her uncle owned the property and the farm, and they did other crops. And she was trying to grow Liberica at a quality scale. But, she was kind of doing it. She never really stuck with it because, she's one of those pretty girls that was like an artista, and then she got married, and then, of course, the guy that she marries has money. So, there it is. Anyway, if you guys have the chance to if you see Liberica somewhere, or especially Barako, I suggest trying it out. It's really kind of an interesting kind of coffee. And also the reason I brought up Figaro is because they were big on the Silvanas. And for those who are not familiar, I think we talked about San Serval, and San Serval comes as a cake that you slice. Silvanas are basically like San Serval, but little tiny single portion servings, right? So they're pre-made single portion, and they're called Silvanas. They're made in a cake version, and it's called San Serval. So if you happen to be close to one of these Filipino bakeries somewhere, go there and ask them, do you have San Serval? Do you have Silvanas? Buy it. Now, here's the thing. So you get that. They normally keep it frozen, so it's kind of hard. And you know how butter's hard when it's frozen? If you get it, take it out, let it come to room temperature, or just still kind of chilly, but room temperature so that the butter is softened, right? And then bring your coffee, black, together. Oh, mamma mia, it is so, so delicious. I'm going to have to put that there one day on the, yes. And, Mad Mofo says, Dumaguete specials. I went to Dumaguete in June. I went there for a day. Stayed at the Henry Resort. And at the Henry Resort, they have, what is the name of it? There's a cafe that was the interesting about the Henry Resort, if you stay there, they have all these restaurants and food places that are branches of the original locations elsewhere in Dumaguete. Like, it's kind of like Dumaguete's best food all in one space. And they had the San Serval place there. I shot a video of it. Of course, I totally screwed up the audio on it. Like, I totally didn't realize the microphone was not plugged in, but it was plugged in enough so that it would bypass the internal mic, but it wasn't plugged in enough to actually feed the sound. So it's completely silent. I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm trying to figure out how to actually, I'll probably just do a voiceover and music with it, but there is a whole like video that's supposed to be about San Serval that will come out at some point in time. All right. Anyway, that's enough of me chatting away and babbling away. I'm going to finish this donut with this coffee. I hope you have a great weekend. This weekend, I'm actually heading out tomorrow to York, PA. If you have the chance to, if you like arcade games, remember like when we were young, arcade games were the big thing. You go to the arcade and you play the video games. So there's a place at the York County Fairgrounds in York, Pennsylvania. It's actually today and tomorrow. You go there, you pay a fee, and they have got pinball machines and arcade games set up, and you just kind of go buck wild. You just go to town on these machines. So I'm planning to bring my nephew. We're going to head up there maybe around noon and then go buck wild. Like, he's got to, like, I haven't told him we're going to go. Like, I just got his okay from his parents. And I'm just going to take him there. Be like, hey, we're going out. He's like, oh, we're going. I don't want to go nowhere. Come on, let's go. And then when he gets there, he's like, oh my gosh, I'll report to you guys on Monday. Anyway, that's pretty much it for me. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Back again on Monday. That is the plan. And yeah, we'll have more coffee and stuff like that. So thanks, and see you next time. See you, Mom. Mad Mofo, Wilson, good to have you guys.